Friends and neighbors, thank you so much for joining us. We are thrilled to welcome you to our webinar today on designing effective benefits packages for your recruitment and retention efforts. This is part of a monthly webinar series, so if this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope you have a great time today, and if you are returning after attending previous webinars, we thank you for sticking with us, and we're glad you're finding some value here. So I'm Allison Abe-Sekera. I'm the Director of Training and Technical Assistance here at the Association of Clinicians for the Underserved. I am going to be making a few of those exciting housekeeping announcements everyone all loves, but just want to make sure you know just a little bit about who we are and all the free stuff that's available to you now and in the future. I am talking to you on behalf of the STAR Center, which is a workforce related project of the Association of Clinicians for the Underserved. ACU receives a national cooperative agreement from the Bureau of Primary Health Care to provide free resources, training, and technical assistance to health centers about any and everything clinician recruitment and retention. So you weren't mildly hallucinating after lunch. I did say free. So we have a whole host of free tools and people that we support that can talk to you for free about whatever it is that you might need to get some new ideas. So I'm not sure how you got here today, whether it was a link through your PCA newsletter or through the BIPIC newsletter, but if you've not been to our website, please go to chcworkforce.org, kick around there for a little bit, and you will be able to get access to all that free stuff that I'm mentioning now. Here's my contact information if you'd like to get connected after this call, and also the contact information of Mariah Blake, our one-woman show here at ACU who makes sure all the trains run on time and everything's working as it should. So if you want to quickly just jot down her email, it's also going to be in your chat box. If you have any problems or questions during this webinar, you can email Mariah at that address, or you can chat her in the chat box on your right, and she will do her best to make sure that you can get connected and stay with us today. So just some final announcements. We are recording, so we can make this available afterwards. It will be available in about 24 hours on our website. You will also get a link to the recording if you hear something great that you want to forward this recording on to your colleagues or friends. We also have handouts currently available right now for you for download. So if you look on the right-hand side and in your control panel for your webinar, you'll see a little box that says handouts. And you can click that and get information about us. You can get information, you can get copies of the PowerPoint slides today. And the important thing is you can download right now for free, again for free, that tool that we're going to be talking about today. So you can go ahead and download it and kind of follow along as our presenters talk. And you can also just have it in general, and it's going to be available on our website. It is available on our website right now. As you flip through the tool that you've downloaded or as you listen to our presenters, please feel free to share your questions. There's a little questions box also in your control panel. You can just type away right there, and we will be reading the questions ourselves verbally at the end of the presentation and answering any and all of your questions. So please feel free to speak up. And just make sure to have fun. You know, recruitment and retention is a job and a calling, but also it's a great chance to be inventive and creative and really solve some solutions to impact for the better lives in your communities today. So we hope that you'll take this time a little bit away from the hum of the work that we know that you're involved in right now, and just really tune in and get that brain working on some cool new things that you can try. So I'm just going to give you the official formal introduction to Keith and Jennifer, although they are going to introduce themselves, I'm sure. I met them actually at a Primary Care Association conference in Louisiana. They were doing a great presentation, and I said, hey, we should talk. We've been in conversation with them over about the last year to develop this free, I said that word again, free tool for you to use to help more effectively design attractive benefits packages to attract candidates during that recruitment process and to keep them as they're staying on at your health center. So again, that tool is for free right now in the handouts box, and that's really what Keith and Jennifer are here to talk to you about, what the tool is, how to use it, why you should consider kind of revamping any of the materials you currently have, and really how you can get the most out of this. So both Keith and Jennifer are certified financial planners and both members of the National Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. They have great education and experience out in the field and have a lot to share with you today. So I'm going to turn it over to them right now.
Well, thank you, Allison, and Jennifer and I are certainly very happy to be with you, either if it's this afternoon or this morning for you. So we, as Allison said, Jennifer and I are both financial advisors. We're based here just outside of New Orleans, but we do have a national presence with our affiliates across not only the South, but also up along the East Coast. So I'm going to give you, Allison, have you turned over control to us yet?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Give it maybe just one more second, and you should be able to keep moving it. If not, I'll do it for you.
All right. Thank you. And I apologize for that delay for everyone. But we do welcome your questions. We're happy to present you with this tool that we've created in conjunction with the ACU over the past year or so. I can't tell you how many iterations of this we've gone through, but it's been a lot of fun. We've enjoyed working with Mariah and Allison. Allison, just advance the slide for me, please, because I can't seem to get it moving. This is our standard disclosure. So you take a chance when you get an opportunity later and you print this out. We are not providing any tax advice, and we are not acting as an attorney in any kind of way for anyone on the call or anyone else. Try that one, Jim. Okay. So what are the objectives of our webinar today? Well, first, we want to give you an overview of the competition for providers, give you some research. Jennifer will do that on the value of benefits in the recruiting and retention process. We also want to talk to you about having a focus on retention. We want to talk about the value of using a structured recruiting and retention tool. We're going to give you an overview of our recruiting and retention tool. We have attached a digital example of an actual recruiting and retention package that we provided to you today. And then finally, how to work with Wealth Solutions in designing your own proprietary strategic benefits package. Next slide, please. Or Jim, you going to try it? There is an incredible competition today for providers. There are staffing challenges. We have the impact of the Affordable Care Act. There are additional challenges for those of you who are in rural areas, and there's a primary care disincentive from a financial standpoint. All of these factors affect the supply of physicians, particularly for those physicians you may be attempting to attract. That's why we think it's important to have a formal recruiting and retention package. You need this to deal with the competition. Allison, please. So let's talk about some provider staffing challenges, and for that, I'll turn it over to my colleague Jennifer.
Thank you, Keith. Again, we're honored to be here today, and so we're hoping that that you enjoy our presentation. So I want to begin our talk with our research, and that tells us that we're seeing a lot of staffing challenges ahead. As the slide says, by 2025, we're going to see a deficiency of physicians from 46,000 to about 90,000 in the United States. 31,000 of those are expected to be primary care physicians. And recruiting, as you all well know, is a process. It takes 9 months to a year to recruit one physician and about 6 site visits. Residents and fellows generally receive over 100 solicitations during their final year training, and there are about 23,000 residents and fellows that graduate annually. So obviously there's a huge demand, and they're receiving a lot of attention. Yeah, advance, please. So with the recent healthcare reform demand, for primary care, the demand for primary care physicians is only increasing. So it is critical to focus on retention alongside with your recruiting efforts. Next slide, please. The rural communities are especially at risk. 20% of our population actually lives in rural areas. 9% of the physicians practice there, but only 3% of recent grads are planning to practice in those communities. So that is definitely an at-risk area. So why is this such an issue? Well, let's look at the demographics here. So medical students who are closest to medical schools and from the most urban areas have family with the highest levels of income and education are the most likely to be admitted to medical school. And these elite students are the least likely to choose family medicine, primary care, and actually locate in these rural and underserved locations. And they are replacing the lower income, middle income, white, and rural born medical students who are most likely to work in those areas. So that is really an issue. Next slide, please. In addition to those risks, what is the primary care incentive? Well, in a recent report in 2016, a family physician earns, on average, $207,000 a year, whereas a radiologist or another specialty earns, on average, over $400,000 a year. So it's difficult for a physician that comes out of medical school with $200,000 in debt to choose a primary care specialty that will earn them about $200,000, or put another way, earning $200,000 less than having chosen a more lucrative specialty. So the next slide, please. So what are the key factors that are affecting our supply of physicians? Our young professionals today have different objectives than their predecessors. They don't want to be on call all the time. They want a schedule that's flexible, and fewer of them are actually want to be entrepreneurs. So with an aging physical workforce, there's a new model. And the new model is using the advanced practice nurses, physical assistants, physician assistants, and they're performing a lot of the duties that the doctors used to perform. We also have half of our residents who are women, and they live a more balanced life of caring for the family, so they're working about 25% fewer hours than their male counterparts. So what does all this mean? And I'm going to turn this back over to Keith so he can discuss more about it.
All right, thanks, Jen. What this means to us is that you have to have a call to action. And for us, that means you have to have a formalized plan. The pool is shrinking, the need is growing, and you already have people on staff. So let's make sure we do something that helps retain the people you've already recruited. So this is our call to action. We need to act to establish an aggressive physician recruitment program, as well as a streamlined physician retention plan. So here's what we know. Demand is up, supply is down, in economic terms, the cost is greater. Next slide, please. So why pay twice for the same talent? Next slide, please. Here's what we know. Medical staff retention. Recruitment is becoming more costly due to the demand or distribution and or specialty issues. The average cost to recruit are about $30,000. The turnover rates are 5% and up. So we believe a well-planned retention program reduces cost and turnover. Next slide, please. Look at the different differentiators. Our studies tell us what benefits providers value. In order to keep your current staff, you must develop a robust compensation plan. Finally, you must continually educate your providers on the value of their overall package. The next overview is retaining quality employees. How do we keep our healthcare professional staff happy? How do we attract talent? What is the process? And what is the investment required to achieve this objective, or what is the cost? Components of a comprehensive program include compensation, standard benefits, what we've identified as strategic benefits, intangible benefits, employee education, and the promotion and utilization of benefits. So let's look first at cash compensation. Your standard compensation, of course, obviously includes salary. Then there are the standard benefits that almost all employers provide: comprehensive medical, group life and group disability, continuing medical education, PTO or personal time off, and almost all of you have a retirement plan. Then we look at what are strategic benefits. Strategic benefits are supplemental to your basic benefits. What we've learned in our research is that life insurance for physicians coming out of medical school and for other physicians is very important to them. And we look for you to supplement the basic group benefits with supplemental insurance for a select group of people. Likewise, disability insurance is a very valuable benefit to healthcare providers. Finally, we've added here in strategic benefits comprehensive planning. And this is the ability to help physicians and providers with doing either comprehensive financial planning or modular planning, which we'll talk about again in a little while. And finally, what about non-qualified plans, like non-qualified deferred compensation plans? And this is used not only for your provider staff or your medical staff, but your senior staff as well. So what else about attracting provider talent? We need to sell the intangibles too. As Jennifer said, these intangibles include freedom from accounting, overhead, malpractice payment, and the insurance claim bureaucracy. Also, we're talking about call. As Jennifer said, Generation X and the generations that come behind them are not very interested in having call 5 days a week. They also seek flexible schedules. So if you can offer a flexible schedule to them, that's great as well. We have one of our clinics that offers Friday afternoons off, and that turns out to be a really nice benefit. And what are you doing to help them figure out what to do about their loan forgiveness? How can we come up and how can we educate these providers who often leave with 6 figures of student loan debt, help them figure out a way to mitigate that debt? And finally, and we think this is not used enough, is the personal satisfaction of helping the community. That's something that you have that you can sell to your prospective employees, and you probably already realize that from your current employees. Next slide, please. So again, recruiting and retaining talent, we believe employee education is important. We encourage the accessibility and utilization of benefits. And often we see benefits are ignored because the employee does not understand the value of those benefits. And we have our program that helps educate them on the value of those benefits. One way you can do that is by using third parties to provide overall value of your plan with visual annual statements. We have here 2 examples. Don't worry about the dates on these, but these are third parties that come in, and for a fee, we'll take all of your benefits, analyze them, and make a very nice, very attractive package for not only your current employees, but in marketing to new employees, you can do examples. I have one on the next slide, an example of something that we put together, and we just called it a benefact statement. And what you see here is that a summary of a sample physician with $200,000 of salary, a bonus, a contract bonus. You have direct compensation. Then we put a value on their basic benefits. And this is what we see that you're not selling enough, is what does it cost? These benefits today are very expensive. It's a big investment that you're making in your employees. So we add that to that. And then finally, we added the value of strategic benefits in this particular example. Next slide, please. So finally, what about the additional on-site workshops and seminars? These are not sales seminars, but important educational seminars and workshops. And we have a complete library of these, and we shared some examples with you here. Retirement income planning, Social Security planning for your physicians and other employees and providers who are nearing retirement. So Social Security is a very valuable benefit. And a lot of people really don't understand the nuances of Social Security. And my colleague Jennifer is very good at explaining that to our clients. What about dealing with debt? What about their own risk and protection? How about budgeting? And then the financial issues affiliated with aging. We've also had one of our clients ask us to put together a financial literacy program, and this would be for the rank and file employees, where we come in and talk to them about basic things like balancing a checkbook and other financial topics like that. Next slide, please. So now we move on to actually getting into the tool. We have done a lot of research on this, and we've seen these contracts that are presented to providers and physicians on the front end that are pretty complex and lengthy. And our research said that, we learned from our research that the first step of this is to do a letter of intent. We've actually provided one such letter of intent for you in the tool, and you can see from that letter of intent, it outlines in just a couple of pages the scope of what would be in a much deeper laid out contract. But it helps move the process along as far as working with a prospective provider with your clinic or your health center. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the process here. We think you must adopt a process, and here's a good place to begin. Number one, you must do an analysis of your current benefit package and your current investments in those. Secondly, review your marketing material. What are you using when you're out there at workshops or at hospitals and talking to physicians? A review of your current recruiting process. Who owns that in your organization? How do you fill the pipeline out 6 months, a year, 18 months, or longer? A review of your educational material. How are you promoting the benefits that you already have for your employees? What is the value of the total compensation? What is an overview of the competition for providers? Do you know what that's like in your particular area? What about your current investment? What are you investing in your current overall compensation package? And finally, developing a recruiting and retention tool. So next slide, please. We developed our tool in conjunction with the ACU. Here's an overview of that. Oh, I'm terribly sorry about that background noise. We have a brochure that we'll go over with you. We've already discussed the letter of intent. We have a complete benefits sample that's attached. These include a benefits package letter, benefits enrollment, strategic benefits, retirement plan projections, comprehensive financial planning sample report, and the loan forgiveness program. Next slide, please. So what about our brochure? We have developed over several months in many iterations a brochure for you to begin the marketing process to physicians. Now this is our proprietary brochure, and if obviously we're giving you the tool, but we recommend that you develop your own marketing brochure. We'll be happy to walk you through some of the steps of that. But for our clients, we actually customize this brochure with their color scheme and logo and actually some of the verbiage in there. So with that, I'm setting stage for you to Jen to go over the actual tool, and we'd like to spend most of our time talking about the tool. So with that, Jen.
Thank you, Keith. So our research also tells, yes.
Sorry, if you could just speak up, that would be really great. Thank you.
Oh, okay, sure. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. That's all right. Tell me if you're having trouble hearing me, and I can always use Keith's phone for some reason if my phone isn't working as well. But anyway, we've also found out that you know, during the research stage here, that the biggest challenge is communication between the health centers and the employees. So the marketing brochure really sets the stage of explaining what type of benefit the health center is offering, just to kind of piggyback off of what Keith is saying. So that's really, and going forward in this tool, our efforts here are to communicate all of the benefits that are part of their compensation package, and again, compensation is not just their salary, it's also these benefits. And a lot of them are huge in comparison to, say, private practice. And that's really what our providers are thinking about or competing with, whether they're going to go forward with a health center or private practice. So we're going to start with our compensation package template. And this is just an overview of, or should I say, the package really gives us an idea of all of the different benefits, and with sections on each one, and we're going to go through each one, on all of the benefits they're going to be receiving in addition to their compensation. So, and this is going to be described in, as we say, our tool. So if you go to the next page, we're going to start with like a table of contents. And this page really shows all of the sections that we have included in this tool. And we're going to go through each one. But this page really just gives an idea of all of the sections that we're going to be talking about, but also the value that it gives the new hire as well. They're going to understand the value of each section and what they're getting. It's not going to be buried in an HR policies book. We're going to show them exactly what they're getting, and we're going to go through each section with them. So that's this is the introduction to that tool. So if you go to the next page, it starts with our letter. This letter is really a summary of all the benefits, but it's customized in a sense, and not just the salary and the position and what their jobs are going to be, what specialty they have. We also give a customized idea of what their accumulated value can be in their retirement plan. If we, with assumptive deferral rate, the match is also included. Over years and years of preparing for retirement, what their accumulated value can be, and we state this in the letter, so they actually know the value of their retirement plan, what it could be at retirement. We also talk about in the letter, we talk about the basic benefits and the enhanced benefits. We call them strategic benefits to you today, but to the employer, the new hire, it is the enhanced benefits. And these are benefits that go over and above your basic benefits, like Keith mentioned. But we give an idea of, for example, what your disability benefit would be if you have a disabling injury. In addition to the group benefit, we also have a supplemental individual disability benefit. And in the letter, we describe that benefit, and we talk about what that benefit would be total, what the total income would be if you had a disabling injury in dollars. And that's pretty valuable when a health center is giving this benefit, the group benefit and the supplemental benefit, because they actually can see in dollars what their disability insurance is. So go to the next page. So this will be the first section after the letter. After describing all the benefits they're going to have, the compensation, like I said, all the details, this is going to be the benefits enrollment section. And here we would put your HR basic benefits. And this would be your group medical, your group disability, short-term, long-term, your life insurance, your retirement plan information, and then maybe some of your, whatever you have in your handbook, time off policies, that type of thing. So this would just be your general human resources type basic benefits section. And if you go to the next page, that just shows that would just be your benefits booklet. So the next page, or the next section, I should say, is your supplemental disability section. And here, this would be an additional supplemental individual policy for professionals, for medical professionals, in addition to the group policy. And this is a benefit that will be paid by the health center. And this would be an example of one of our first strategic benefits.
Yeah, so let me just chime in there. We've had, when we first started putting these together, we were able to secure a very special contract that's just for federally qualified health centers through Emeritus, and that is we have special pricing, we have unisex rates, and list bill discounts, and that right now can only be used for federally qualified health centers. Again, turn it back to you.
I also want to mention too that these policies are portable. So if the provider decides he wants to leave, this is something that could go with him, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. The next page would really describes what you would put in it, and this would be just information from the insurance company that would give more details on that supplemental disability policy for medical professionals. So the next section would be our second strategic benefit, and that would be a supplemental life insurance policy. This again would be in addition to the group life policy, and it's also a benefit that's paid by the health center for the individual, and again it would be a supplemental policy.
Yes, once again, this is a unique benefit that we've been able to put together. It is more generally available, but not a lot of people take advantage of this very attractive product, which is a guaranteed 10-year term policy with individual rates. Okay.
So the next page, and just to again mention, but this is also a portable policy because this is, again, it's an individual policy. And just to break away from the tool for just a minute, want to add also, as part of our process, when we have people that are terminated, whether they decide to, and most decide to leave on their own volition and choose to do something else, these policies can go with them. So what we do is we provide a termination checklist that gives the terminated employee the options that they have of taking these, assuming the premiums and taking these policies with them. And it gives them all the information, all the steps that they have to take in order to assume the premium and continue on with these policies. So again, for this section, we would just be putting information on that supplemental life insurance policy that we get from the insurance company. So the next section is retirement plan information. And as you know or see from that section title, this is the value of a qualified retirement plan. And this, again, we're talking about not only what the retirement plan gives them, in addition to the information that we put in that letter, but this section also gives them a report that shows them the potential value of their retirement plan. So if they work for your health center for 20 years, and we make an assumption that they would defer a certain percentage and get that full match, over a 20-year period, this is how much assets can accumulate, and this is what they can expect to have at retirement. In addition to that, we also give them an income report, and they can receive a projected amount of income for life based on just these retirement assets. So in this section, and if you go to the next page, it just gives a sample report of that accumulated retirement amount, and then we don't show the next page. It gives you the income that is projected off of this. And again, we're showing the value of the retirement plan. Most people show the features and what the match is and how much you can put in, but this actually shows in dollar amount based on their salary, their customer salary. If they put in this percentage of deferral over this period of time with this match, this is what your retirement can look like. So it actually shows the value of that. So the next page, or excuse me, the next section is our financial planning section. And this introduces to the recruit or the new hire the financial planning that is available to them. This is an intangible benefit like we talked about because there is no cost to them. This is something that they get as a resource for just working for that health center. And we want to convey, or you as the health center wants to convey to this person that as they're a loyal employee over the years, the health center wants to provide resources for them so they have a healthy financial life. And just piggybacking off of our last section, where you're also, you're giving that retirement income report, plan report. Well, we can do that and many more things. We have a lot of modular planning that we can do for them, whether it's tax planning, estate planning, college education planning, Social Security planning. We can really do any financial issues or questions that the provider needs. We can do it for them. And again, this is just an intangible benefit that most people don't see in other places. And to go to the next slide, we actually show what our process is. So whether this is a full-blown comprehensive plan, this is our process, or if we're doing just a simple retirement income plan, we may still take a few of these steps. But these are the steps, the process that we go through in preparing these plans for you. So it is, it could be very involved, or it could just be a simple, straight-up retirement plan. The next slide shows that with this planning, we have action steps. And we will also prepare an action plan for them that is the implementation steps that we actually resulted from the plan that we prepared for them. So this is a direct result of the plan in fulfilling the objectives of this plan that we prepared for them. So our last section is loan forgiveness. And this is an extremely important benefit, intangible benefit that the new hire or any type of recruit should consider. And as we talked about in the beginning, there's so much debt that is accumulated in getting out of law school or really any type of professional college or graduate school. There's a lot of debt involved. And this is a huge advantage to be able to give them a loan forgiveness option when working for your health facilities. We actually work with one of the doctors at one of the health facilities that we work with, and she shared with us that she has about $300,000 in debt. So this is a huge, huge benefit for her, and this was a huge draw for her to come work for the health center. And not only does she there, she loves the people in the atmosphere, and she loves what she does. But she shared with us that she will never think about leaving because this is a huge benefit for her. And this is something that she can foresee, in years to come, that she will be debt-free, and it's all because of these programs. So this is something that, again, we can help you with, or your health center can help you with, in identifying which program is best for you. There are federal programs, there are state programs, and there are even programs that are offered through just the health services side of it. So the last page really just gives you information on those programs. So with all of this, and that's the complete tool, I'm going to pass it back to Keith, and he's going to give you a little bit more about that.
Thanks, Jen. And I thought I would, there might be some confusion in some of these slides. You see Wealth Solutions, and then you see United Wealth Advisors Group. United Wealth Advisors Group is our national firm, and we have individual branded affiliates in different cities. So that's why you might see some of that. Wealth Solutions is the South Louisiana-based affiliate of the United Wealth Advisors Group. So how can we help you? First, we hope you have some questions about the tool, and you may have questions about how to engage with us. So our process is basically we will help you with an evaluation of your recruiting process. Secondly, we'll do an evaluation of your current compensation plan. We'll ask you and maybe help you formulate a budget. If you give us a budget, we'll design a plan around that. And then we have ongoing services to you as well. So it's like a smorgasbord. It's an array of services that you can pick and choose some or all of those in order to work with us. Let me talk to you about the investment, and these are averages. Each center will be a little different based upon their demographics, but generally we're talking about the strategic benefits average about $150 per month per employee. This includes the supplemental life and the supplemental professional disability income. generally you're talking about, we recommend somewhere around a 4% match on your retirement plan. And then, of course, the modular financial planning, if you engage with our firm, we provide this as a value added to you as the center employee to provide to your employees. So with that, I think we're right on time, Allison, and we will pause for any questions.
Wonderful. Thank you both so much. I appreciate that walkthrough of this tool that's, again, available for download right from your toolbox if you're watching. We do have lots of questions coming in, which I will read to you kind of one by one, and we can talk them through. Just for the rest of the crew, I just want to, again, reiterate that this tool is free, and we want to thank Keith and Jennifer so much for all that they did in seeing the need for having this kind of marketing piece as part of your overall recruitment and retention process. So we really encourage everybody to download it, review it, let us or Keith or Jennifer know if you have questions, and then start to review your own materials and see what you can do to kind of make your own job offers attractive to those candidates you're trying to recruit.
Right,
so
Allison,
we also,
let me just comment on that a second.
Sure, go ahead.
I think as part of our commitment to the ACU and working with Mariah and Allison is that if you have questions or you have ideas and you think of ways that we can make this better, please pass that on to Allison and Mariah, and we will look at that and work with them about making this tool even better for you going forward. And we will, as we update that, I'm sure Allison and Mariah will also send out some type of notice to all of you.
Yes, absolutely. And for anybody who's new to this series or new to any of our tools, you can just sign up on our homepage for our monthly newsletter. It's literally just once a month to keep up to date on the new tools like this one. We also recently released that you may want to consider using as you're analyzing your own benefits package, a financial assessment tool. That's available, again, for free for download right off the homepage of chcworkforce.org. And that's just a free Excel calculator where you type in a bunch of information about your health center, and it will spit back out to you how much it actually costs you to recruit and retain different providers. A lot of the stuff that we talked about today was a little more physician-centric, but you can use that for any type of provider and think overall about your program. So without further ado, I do want to get to some of our questions here. So this one's for Keith and Jennifer. Are you finding that these demographic metrics are consistent regardless of where we look in the country, or are specialists making significantly more in urban areas?
Well, we find that obviously in the metro areas that the competition is even greater, the demand is greater, and the compensation follows that. So I would say that if your assumption is, if I'm in a metro area, do I have to pay more for the same talent? The answer is probably yes. Jen, you have anything to answer? Okay.
Great. And we would definitely agree with that in terms of what we're seeing in terms of generally the demographic metrics. You know, a lot of the trick is you know, all providers, but especially if we're thinking of physicians, are really trained in urban areas. And so when they get out of school and out of residency and are looking for job opportunities, they want to stay in areas that are more like where they trained. You know, you also see that for the new residents as well as maybe practitioners who have been out of school and out of residency for a while, but really want to be in a place that can provide, let's say, great educational and school systems for their children. And so definitely we see those demographic trends tending toward urban areas. Yeah, Keith.
Yeah, we have many individual physician clients, and what we're seeing is that we get referred to some of them in residency, and they get into a city like New Orleans is a big medical community, educational community, and once they get into those communities, they make roots and they get married and they start having kids, and they really do not want to leave. So you're seeing that as well.
Great. Thank you. Next question. Are doctor mortgages included here at all? We encounter a lot of young docs who ask us about them. And just to add to that question, I know, Keith, that we're hearing from health centers out in the field that a lot of the health systems that health centers are competitive with are able to offer mortgage assistance, you know, make personal loans, those kinds of things. So what can you tell us about that and how to use them in the benefits packages?
You know, I think that's certainly a great idea. We have not seen this here. I would say that's probably in the very major urban areas. You see that because you're seeing it in the private sector, in the search for talent. You know, it comes down to does the health center have that type of capital to start making loans or get in the banking business? But as part of our financial planning process, we work with a lot of young physicians and work with them on how to get mortgages, and that's probably a 45-minute presentation in and of itself. But there are all kinds of different financial planning tactics and tools that you can use to help them get there. And I would say if in your location is to find a really good financial advisor who's familiar with doing those kinds of things. And instead of you making loans, maybe we can figure out a way to get them mortgages on their own.
Thank you for that, and I want to, as always, echo and agree with Keith on this. When I was doing my gig recruiting clinicians to health centers, what we would do is I worked with a financial planner, and they would talk individually with people about how they could afford to finance certain personal dreams of their own. So making sure that clinicians of any kind, whether they be physicians, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, are connected by you to somebody who can help them talk about long-term what their plans and dreams and hopes are, so that you can demonstrate investment in that person, and also help them figure out how to actually finance those things with what you're offering them. So next question, any examples of ways that health centers have been able to reach out directly to residents?
Yes, there's certainly opportunities to do that. It's a contact generally with the school, with the school itself, and we've actually done some of those for different things. But if you talk to the people at the school, let's say for example here in New Orleans would be Tulane or LSU Medical Center, you can find a contact there. And the one thing about residents is they're always looking for an opportunity for a free meal. So if you had something that you were doing where you were offering some type of lunch or dinner, you can probably attract some people to come to hear about the opportunity that you have.
And the other thing I would add to that is, depending on where you are and what role your primary care association has in terms of recruiting or not for health centers in your state, sometimes those workforce staffers are really people who are great at making connections with those residency programs and doing kind of overall health center informational, educational presentations with the residents that will get them hooked into health centers in general, and then we'll give you the opportunity to network with those people should they be interested in your area.
That's right, and it's about the pipeline. We mentioned that in the presentation, and you need to look at what your staffing needs are going to be a couple of years or longer out, and how am I going to start filling those needs? How do I start recruiting to those? And you might be talking about the first-year residents, just because of what your needs might be 2 or 3 years out.
Thank you, Keith. Next question for you, talking specifically about the tool and kind of the packages we talked about today. Who reviews these materials with the new employees? Is it the health center's HR, or is it a group like yours? How does the actual education and training go for a review of these packages?
That's a great question. If we're engaged, and I'll let Jen drill down a little bit, but if we're engaged with the health center, one of the services we provide is part of that onboarding. We will go there and review the entire package with the provider. And as you said earlier, it could be a physician or it could be some other type of medical or even senior staff position. But I'll let Jen talk about her experience with that.
So we actually work in conjunction with HR. So we have become, with the health centers that we're working with, we actually are part of their process. So as a new hire comes in, they have a day where they come in and they meet the staff and they see the facility. We're there to welcome them as well, and we have the package. So we've put this package together with the HR department, and then we talk about the specifics of the supplemental insurance, and actually at that point we give them a disability questionnaire to find out if we can actually provide that additional supplemental policy, and then we're there to answer any questions. We help them enroll in their retirement plan, and any questions they have, choose their investments, that type of thing, any questions they have on that. But we're there to answer any questions and explain everything for them.
Right, and we customize this for our clients. So not everyone is going to be exactly the same. What you saw today was more of a generic type piece, but we can customize those for each of our clients.
And in general, I would add, no matter who you're working with to do any of the benefits pieces you already have, a lot of times they have resources that you can take advantage of in terms of educational materials like the ones you've seen today, marketing materials, or can support you in some of this process at your own health center.
Right, particularly Allison, with their retirement plan providers, if they're not getting that kind of service, if they want to reach out through you or call us directly, and we're familiar with all the major players, and they often have outstanding educational materials beyond just retirement planning.
Well, and speaking of retirement planning, we have a question here. If your health center is not currently able to match the 403B investment, what other options would you suggest?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, you can do a discretionary match depending on what type of plan you have. You can also put, we suggest at least starting with something. You know, even if you're matching 1%, do something. But if you really cannot do any type of match at all, then these other strategic benefits would have to come much after that. So the first benefit that you can do that we think you need to do beyond the basic employee benefits of group health and group life is the retirement plan. So we would build from there with you and say, let's build up your retirement plan until you get to a 3 or 4% match before you start talking about strategic benefits. But a discretionary match is something that you could do at the end of the year, depending on what the profitability of the center is, and you can explain that to employees. But we think it's critical that you at least have something in there, even if it's 1%.
And I want to add something to that too. Having a retirement plan really gives the ability for that employee to put a lot of money in a plan. So just having that vehicle is a value in itself. Even if you can't supply a match, you're giving them the opportunity to put more than what you'd be able to put in an IRA. So look at the value there, or the tool there, and it's a benefit just having a plan.
I agree, and I think, again, with retirement and with a lot of the other benefits that maybe we covered in the benefits package, you know, sometimes it can be overwhelming if you don't have a lot of that already, or if you're thinking, oh, ours looks a little, you know, little sad or small compared to what, you know, so-and-so down the street does. Really just thinking about how you can be a broker for each of those experiences for your health center. And how, if, let's say, you can't match for that particular retirement account, but you can't offer the retirement plan, and you have, as an organization, developed good relationships with, let's say, financial planners in the area or somebody else that they can get hooked into. So really just saying, we care about this, we know this issue is important for you, and while we're working towards, you know, being able to do a big match for you, right now we want to be able to provide you all the support that we can.
Yes, outstanding.
And looks like we have one last question here, and it's really about kind of that overall question of, if I can't access a big national or state program, could I do it myself? It's, do you know of any health centers that finance their own loan repayment or forgiveness programs? And if so, are there any tax concerns or any legal issues associated with that?
Well, certainly I'm not going to answer any legal issues, but generally speaking, if you provided a benefit, it is taxable. Now, you can make a loan to an employee, but then we have the issues there of minimum loan interest and so on. So if you forgive any type of mortgage debt, that is going to be taxable. In almost all cases, and I can't think of any when it would not be. So there are tax implications of that. And since it was the second one that came up, maybe if that person, whoever's asking those questions around the mortgages, if they'll reach out to me or to Jennifer directly, we'll see if we can help them with maybe a little bit more details about what they're trying to do, and we'll see if we can come up with a solution for them.
And actually, I'd like to touch on that as well. We have, with some of the health centers we're working with, these doctors are borrowing from their 401k or 403b accounts. And they can take out, if they have a decent balance in their retirement account, they're able to take out up to $50,000 or whatever the plan document says, and they're paying the interest back to themselves. And if it is for your home, then normally a 401k or 403b loan has a 5-year term, but for a home, it's a 30-year term. Of course, you have to stay there, or else if you ever leave your employment there, then it becomes a taxable situation. But we do see a lot of people taking advantage of this by taking money out of their retirement account and putting it down on a house or help paying off a higher debt, basically. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, and thank you for sharing that.
And also, it gets, in a lot of these things, what we found, Allison, for those on the call, is that tell us where you're trying to go, and let us figure out a way for you to get there. And it may not be exactly what you think it is, but oftentimes we can find a solution to your objective.
Great. I know we're running out of time, but we did just have a couple more questions come in about this. People are excited about it and thinking about looking at their benefits packages. How long would you say it takes to set up kind of this new onboarding process and this benefits package? You offered kind of a list and a process to where you're reviewing your own benefits all the way through setting up this tool. How long do you think that kind of thing would take?
I would say, to be safe, and I'll let Jennifer chime in here. Let's say if somebody contacted us today and said, we want you to start looking at this process, from the day we first get the information from them, which is going to take maybe a little bit of time for them to get that, and we'd walk them through it. So let's say 2 to 3 weeks to do an evaluation of their benefits package, another couple of weeks to put together some ideas on streamlining that package, or maybe some ideas to better allocate the resources around that package, or it may be just perfect. And then it would go through sort of like building a house. We're not going to just, if we say, hey, we want to build a house, we're not going to start pounding nails tomorrow. So we would put together an example or a proposed tool for the individual center, and that's probably another 2 or 3 weeks of going back and forth with them. And I would say, I guess, maybe 60 to 75 days, start to finish, soup to nuts, to get a finished product to them that they can start using in their clinics. Jen?
Yeah, I agree. If we're implementing a lot of new benefits, then yeah, of course it's going to take a little bit of time. But if we're just helping them put the tool together and communicate to the employees what they have, of course that'll take a much shorter period of time. So it really depends on benefits that are added or or if we're just helping communicate to the employees the value of what they have.
And what can you say, or what advice can you offer about evaluating this kind of process? How does a health center who's interested in kind of revamping their benefits package know that this is worthwhile, and how can they evaluate kind of general improvement or satisfaction or success in terms of recruitment or retention of their providers based on using this kind of benefits package tool?
Well, they can obviously do it on their own. I think we've laid out a pretty good outline for them to do that. It's an outline would use. Now they would have to call in probably some people who have expertise as they drill down, but that would be the first place to start if they wanted to do it on their own. If they wanted to call us, we would be happy to spend some time with them on the front end, looking at what they have and helping them evaluate whether or not it's something that they need to engage us fully in, or we could generally just have some ideas about, hey, look, we think you should do this or that, and that might take a couple of hours, or it could be, like we said, a full-blown analysis and implementation by us, which would stretch that out, obviously.
Great. Well, extremely helpful, and that takes us to the end of our questions and the end of our time. So I just want to thank you again both so much for your time today and your presentation and your answers, as well as all the time and effort you've put into creating this tool, which I know a lot of people are excited to dig through and get their hands on. Contact information for Keith and Jennifer is on your screen right now. It's also in all the materials and on our website, so don't hesitate to get in touch if you have any remaining questions or requests. And we're here always to serve you and help you do what you need to do to address any recruitment and retention challenges you have as you look towards providing care for underserved communities. So thanks everyone today for joining us. We'll look forward to next month's webinar with you. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Allison.
Thank you.